Right. Well, we are live there now. Liza, we
Hello, everyone.
skipped the little helmet this morning, and it's a lovely day outside.
Yes, but they say it's going to rain this afternoon.
Ah,
Hate to be the bearer of bad news.
no. Is this afternoon we can hunker down in the bar. We always have our meetings in the bar anyway. The only way to do it. The only way to do it. Don't go outside. Don't get fresh air. Don't get all the good things for you. You stick in the bar.
Well, you know what they're doing with the air. It's not too fresh these days.
Yeah,
I
that's
promise
for
you.
sure.
I got a little information on that.
All right. Okay. Well, here we are with Liza, who is as controversial as one could be, and actually, there are a number of her what should we say, people of like mind, and that she deals with who have been also making noises this last couple of weeks. So it's time for us to pay attention to what she's done all week. And I stress at the beginning of these programs, she spends a lot of time researching and looking into what's going on in various parts of the world, stuff that we would not see the light of day. Because the establishment did not particularly find favor with this stuff, so it doesn't broadcast it. But B, it's not that easy to find. You really have to have a journalist's nose and a journalist's mind to suss it out. So, Liza, what, apart from the fact that you are going to try to dent my funny hat, what else is happening in the world?
Well, it was a little bit of good news. I got a taxi into town. The S&G, whatever they call it. I still call them George and Graham from when they first started up. That lovely
right.
family.
Yes. Well, you
yes.
know how that started. It's not George and Graham. It's George and Mildred. I call them George and Mildred after the TV program, George and Mildred, and that started way back in 1997.
I remember that.
Yeah,
yes.
And they actually had just started.
So
You're quite right.
Youth of Joyce.
Yes, right. That's it. But we actually started K-Burn Radio, the first independent radio ever to come to Lewis in 1997. And like as we do now, we had to use every resource. And so we said to, I think George was in charge then, and it's his wife now that has it, of course.
It's his son and his daughter.
His son, is it? Right.
Yes.
Well, but we said, would you mind using your taxi drivers as our traffic eyes and ears for the traffic? So they phone in where there's a traffic jam and so on. And that's where we started to call them George and Mildred, G&M.
Oh, that's very
good. And I walk into this day now, if I wanted, I say, hello, George and Mildred, and they all giggle and they don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, you were talking to a George and Mildred driver this morning.
Yes, I was. And I said, what do you think of these 15-minute cities? He said, I'm not going to come to anything, I promise you. So I said, well, that's nice to know. I said, because I'm in there every Thursday at the White Hart, shouting and screaming about them. They're so terribly frightening and seem to be setting them up all over the world. He said it'd be impossible for them to do this. He said it would make the country bankrupt. He said nobody would be able to go to work. And so they'd all be on the dole. And if people are not working, they're not spending, are they? So he seemed to hit the nail on the head. I don't know. But he wasn't worried at all. He said, and this would certainly never happen in Lewis. He said, I said, how am I alone in there on Thursdays? Let me know. He said, you are far from not alone, I promise you. So that was very good news.
Yes, I mean, it is interesting that you happen to just strike up a conversation with a taxi driver and he knew exactly what you were talking about.
Yes, and that's in the space of a month, isn't it? Because they didn't know what I was talking about.
No, that's right. That must be very encouraging for you.
Oh, it was terribly, especially when he said, I'm not alone.
Well, I mean, let's be slightly self-indulgent for a moment because we know that our viewing figures are improving immeasurably all the time. But we do have some evidence of it because Stuart Dolby, with his energy matters, gets a lot of reaction in the street. I get a lot of stuff in. I particularly, because I've traveled the world, I've got all sorts of people that I know view us, and they send me in regularly comment. But now you, Liza Page, talk to a taxi driver about something and he knows exactly what you're talking about. It's very encouraging.
It really is, isn't it? Because no one knew 4 weeks ago, did they?
No, indeed.
Kept saying, "Come on, explain it, explain it." Shall I do it again?
Well, actually, I'm going to say to you, yes, do. Because you don't have to say it in the same way. But very briefly, just explain what these 15-minute cities are, because it's the only way that people, first of all, can put whatever you're going to say this morning into context.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, is I am sorry to say it, but we're all the same. I'm not being critical to viewers or anything. Is we all have difficulty retaining for any length of time something that is told to us just once.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
off you go.
And it all seems far-fetched anyway to explain it. But I'm going to. The government is setting up what they call 15-minute cities. Now then, these are set to go all over Britain, all over Europe, and all over America and other parts of the world too. These are all part of this new world order set, which is all to do with the WEF and the WHO. These are the instigators behind this, and a gentleman called Mr. Bill Gates, of course, and Mr. Klaus Schwab. But these are just workmen. I promise you, there are much, much higher ups that have been planning this. I don't know them, but they are there. Anyway, what they have planned, among other things, is what they call 15-minute cities. Some of them are called 20-minute cities, where they take a town and they chop it up into compartments so that you have everything that you need within a 15-minute radius. So you can either walk or you can ride a bicycle. So you have hairdressers, doctors, grocery store, basic things, maybe a little playground for the kiddies, might even be ambitious and have a garden on top of the buildings. But these 15-minute cities sound, well, it's all right, I suppose, you know. No, it isn't. Because you will not be allowed to leave those 15-minute cities unless you have a car, which you will have to go to the council with, and you will have to register your car and say, I want to leave the city. You will be allowed to leave the city in your car for 100 hours a year. Well, 52 weeks in a year, I mean, that's less than 2 hours a week, isn't it? Not very long, is it? You know, suppose you want to go and visit friends. Suppose you, I don't know, want to go to London for a night out or something like that. I don't know, there's 1,000,001 reasons that people want to leave a small vicinity. Of course there is. But ordering a taxi will be out of the question. No, you won't have any of that. Now, I don't know about you, but I find this very, very, very frightening because this isn't a 15-minute city. This is a compound, a prison. And that's exactly what they want. And also, these will be in the lower class districts. The higher class districts, no, they won't have anything like that. No.
And there are restrictions to sort of wealthier people. Is that the idea?
Yes, yes. And also, if you make a few mistakes, if you have a car, then you will have to pay £60 a night to park it outside your door.
Ooh, well, you do already, don't you?
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, Lewis, for instance, is carved up into various areas, and you pay X amount to have a sticker that says that you can park there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is your 15-minute city.
All right.
Now, if you don't believe me, do some research. It is on the internet. But and they have started in Britain. The very first one was Oxfordshire, and they hope to have that all in place by 2024. Yes, and there's been big marches against this, peaceful demonstrations, but a lot of people. And the council said, you march all you want, this is going to happen.
Do I remember you reporting that somewhere in Cheshire or somewhere that the citizens have struck back?
Yes, well, I think, Keith, a hell of a lot of people are striking back, but I can't find it on the internet. It seemed to all have calmed down, and couldn't find any information at all, except for a little town called Wivelstone or somewhere like that. They went to the council and said, we want to hold a meeting of all of us, like the farmers, the blah, 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 So they said, all right. And they designated a place where they could hold their meeting. In the last minute, they changed their mind and said, no, you can't hold your meeting there. We're very sorry. And there's nowhere else you can hold it because we're digging a swimming pool or, some very lame excuse. So they said, that's okay. We'll find our own place. They all met in a field, a lot of them, and they have decided that they won't be paying their council tax to the council anymore. They will take the money and pay it to themselves, and they will run the place. Well, that sounded like a pretty good idea to me. I don't know about you, Keith. And that was the last I heard of that. But people are pushing back, I promise you. They really are. I mean, they have like pylons surrounding it with flowers growing and things like that. People have been setting light to them and vandalizing the 5G lights that they've got there and everything. It's they're just not going to stand for it, because people are now waking up. And once the eyes open, Keith, it doesn't close,
Yeah.
It really doesn't. And the British, I don't know about you, but I've got a lot of faith in English people. Regardless to all this stupid woke business and all that nonsense, which is totally designed to pitch us against one another. People are waking up to all that, and they're not standing for it. They're really not. But you're not going to find that on the internet. They're not going to give you anything encouraging. You've got to find this on alternative channels and things like that, which I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning investigating, So I don't know, but I don't think they're going to be able to pull this off with these cities in Britain. I honestly don't think they're going to be able to do it. If they do, I think you're going to find anarchy like you've never seen. Because the British, they're slow, very, very slow. We're basically nice people, the English. We really are.
Well,
we're very tolerant. Pardon?
I'm the standout. I'm the exception to the rule.
Well, you're the only one that has a go at these governments. And good luck to you. I don't think I'd be sitting here unless you did, because you try so hard. I think once the British people wake up and they get the bit between their teeth, as they say in racing, I think they're going to be very angry that they've been made fools of
Well,
throughout these pandemics and all the dodginess that went on, and this WHO that our king has signed us up to with the government. They say, hey, no, what is this? You know, not everyone is as informed as myself about this WHO or the WEF. I'm very informed about it, but I'm not the only one in Britain, that I can assure you. And doing my little bit the way I do around the town and here on the show, there are people out there doing much, much more. Much, much more.
well, you must keep us informed about those people.
Yes.
But next stage is there are a number of things that have been floating around for a while, and the world never stands still. So, what developments are there in other aspects of the issues that you feel unhappy about or uncomfortable about?
Well, I've got here. America is the largest financial contributor to the WHO, the World Health Organization, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates. They are also heavily financed by China. The WHO is headed by a man called Ted Ross. He's the puppet they put, in charge there. Senators respond to giving the WHO authority over future pandemic responses. Yeah, we know where we stand with this lot, don't we?
Let's just go back from that, just to make sure that we all understand. These are responses to again
The WHO,
HO's stance
the WHO.
on
Yes.
the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's heavily financed by America
Right.
and China.
Right.
Yeah, because the blueprint for China, Keith, is what they want for Britain.
Yeah.
They want it exactly like China.
Right.
Hence the cities, the 15-minute cities,
Right.
and all the other stuff.
Why do they want to follow China? Do they think it was a good model from their point of view?
This WHO lot, they are totally into eugenics, which is to depopulate the world. And they think that China did a good job of that, and the way they terrorize the people into submission. There was an enormous march that I did pop for on the internet, a very, very strong march by the Falun Gong people.
Yeah.
This is a Chinese religion, but a lot of Europeans have followed that religion too. It's very, very powerful. They won't fight. They don't drink. They don't smoke. They won't fight at all. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but nevertheless, they are very kind, gentle people, incredibly so. And there is no malice in them whatsoever. So consequently, the Chinese don't care for them because they were becoming very, very, very powerful. And we cannot have that. So this was the youngsters that they shot in Tiananmen Square years ago. They mowed them down, right? Now, if you're Falun Gong over there, you go to prison and they take your organs, which is very, very big business in China. Well, it is all over the world, we know that, but prolifically in China, and they take the Falun Gong organs. So, yes, large peaceful demonstration in China yesterday. The protesters were demonstrating against the harvesting of Falun Gong organs, which is very big business in China today, as much as I could get. So this WHO lot is being sanctioned for this country. These are a group of very, very wealthy, unelected people who want to take over the world. And we are helping them by allowing them to come to Britain and sell their wares. They're very frightening people, very, very frightening. This is the lot that says Klaus Schwab up there in Canada with his little protege, whatever the guy's name, creep up there. I can't even be bothered to remember the name, quite frankly. Is you will have nothing and you will be happy. Now, you will have nothing because I've got the frigging lot. I mean, that's what the man is talking about. Hence the cities, the 15-minute cities, you know.
Yeah.
You will not be allowed to own anything in this country. And if you do happen to own something, they will try to make it just too expensive for you to own it by saying all these repairs have got to be done. You mustn't have any gas in your home. You've got to have these very expensive. Oh, and everything will be smart. But they're calling them smart cities. And it's a little bit frightening, Keith.
Yes. Well, it does sound very prohibitive for the average citizen, that's for sure.
Yes.
It's moving on from that for a moment. What's the next thing? Because I can see you playing with a bit of a script here.
Yeah. Well, this is very interesting. This I've really got to research more, and hopefully I will have some more information next week if I can find the film. There's a film called The Dimming. Now then, there's a man.
The
here,
Dimming.
The Dimming.
Oh, right. Okay.
Dim the light.
And is that in theaters or is it on TV or?
It's on the internet.
On the internet.
You won't find this on TV.
Right, okay.
None of my stuff you find on TV. That's why you've got to keep the station going, Keith. You know, it's going to be so valuable. Geoengineering, power and control. Engineer Showstorm, China, 1962. He who controls the weather controls the world, says Lyndon Baines Johnson, the then Prime Minister, said this on video in 1969. Meanwhile, recently, 250,000 cattle died from weather control. HAARP in Alaska. This lot, they're up there having fun and games. Every breath we take is labeled with these poisons. 4 to 60,000 tons of particles are in the air. Dave Widgington, Geoengineering Watch. This is the man who's done incredible research on this. Dave has been studying this subject for 20 years. For solution is from the ground. They have made a film called The Dimming, which I haven't seen yet,
right.
But I'm trying to get it up on the internet.
No, excuse me for that interruption, but I suffered a cold over the weekend. I'm on the mend after huge quantities of alcohol.
Well, you know, it's all those late nights and those wild women. I mean, you've got to stop. You're not as young as you were.
No, that's right. I actually, you know, after the huge quantities of alcohol, I stumble and fall long before I get to the wild women.
And then you blame it on Parkinson's, don't you?
It's a good reason.
Oh, feel sorry for me. Parkinson's.
Right, okay, this is very interesting stuff. So carry on.
Now then, all these chemtrails, you know, they seem to be more and more and more, Keith. You know, it's when do you ever look up there and see a blue sky?
Yeah.
Very, very rarely, don't you? And then, of course, you have Bill Gates who wants to block out the sun for global warming. I mean, this man is certifiably mad. I mean, who do these people think they are?
Yes.
Messing about with the weather, blaming it on God knows what, climate change, so they can make a fortune out of it. I mean, people are waking up, darling.
Yeah.
They are.
Let me
Thing
ask you
is,
this then,
yes,
Liza, because Bill Gates, he established the Bill and
Bill and Melinda Gates
Gates
Foundation,
etc., etc.
But she's given him his marching orders because he was having it off with the little girls on that island of,
Oh dear.
you know, the fellow that they said hung himself or whatever. I think he's still around, quite frankly.
Naughty.
With that kind of money, you don't die, do you?
No, tell me this. Bill Gates becomes a well-known name. He establishes a foundation. He's got a mouthpiece. How many people look at him and say, "Oh my goodness me, we shouldn't listen to him"? And how many people sort of say, "Oh, this man is making sense"?
Oh God, you've got me there. I don't know the statistics.
No. I don't deal with statistics.
In general,
yes, you get a feel for things. You get a feel for how successful, whether people are listening from conversations and so on. So how do you feel? Because you're in the game, right? You're a part of the troops who are standing up to people like Gates. So how do you feel the opposition is doing? Let's put it that way.
Not as well as they were.
Aha, right.
But that's all I can say.
Right.
And that's,
not
as well as they were.
But that in itself is an indicator for people who are watching who don't really know what this is all about yet. Is the indicator is that he is not totally on the winning streak. Should we put it that way?
No, not 100%. No. He was. 4 years ago. He could do no wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Because he had all this money and he was going around saying he was such a philanthropist, giving fortunes to all these organizations. And he gave it for nice people. Well,
right.
For the obvious reasons. Yes.
Yeah.
In association with Fauci, Anthony Fauci in America, producing all these injections that they were giving to Africa and India, very, very young people, children, trying out these lethal drugs and killing a lot of people. I don't think Bill is now allowed into India.
Oh, really?
That's
yes. Well, I wonder if for next week you would check that out for us.
Yes,
and,
I will. Most definitely.
Let's see if
yes.
Get a positive stance on that, because those are the sort of things which we don't hear about, and those are the sort of things that help people give a balance.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Right. Okay. Now, as I say, you are a frontline soldier. You beaver away in the week and so on and so forth. As with things that you haven't talked about, are there sort of new concepts, new ideas, new trends that are beginning to open up?
I'm putting an awful lot of faith into Anthony Bridgen.
Right.
The man who stood up twice in Parliament, making those powerful speeches and got banned for it.
Right.
Also, this I'm not 100% sure of, but the popular newsman in America who worked for Fox, Rupert Murdoch's organization, quite a few years, Tucker Carlson, got fired. Now then, Tucker knows where the bones are buried, doesn't he? And I've a strong feeling that, you see, years ago when it was television, you do as you're told, otherwise you're out. It's not really quite like that anymore, because if you fire someone off of a television station the way Rupert has, then they go onto the internet. They do podcasts.
Yes.
So there's more.
Or
they come down here
it?
and they do your show, you see.
God forbid that he should turn up. Yeah.
You could do a hell of a lot worse.
Oh, I wouldn't say no. I don't say no to anybody, as you know. I believe that if we're going to have a proper forum, we have a proper forum. But is what I generally do is ask that they are interviewed by me rather than come and make statements, so that I can persuade them that if they're going to make some statement that I'm not satisfied with, they can tell me what their authority is for it. As indeed I do with you, and you always, whenever you said something, you're able to say to me, Keith, this is where I got it from. This is my authority. This is the reason that I'm saying these things. And that then lends a greater credibility to what you say and what they say. But once again, explain who Tucker Carlson is. Because if he's not on English television, people aren't going to necessarily relate.
Yes, he's a highly successful newsman who worked for Rupert Murdoch on Fox television.
Did work for Rupert?
Yes, well, Rupert fired him.
Yes, that's right.
Yes,
yeah.
He got the tin tack. And it was, but he was very, very outspoken. I liked his work immensely. I think he was the best newsman in America, quite frankly. He had an incredibly big following, but I thought, I don't think Rupert's going to let you on there very much longer. I'm amazed he let him stay as long as he did, because the man was so truthful.
Well, now, why? Because he worked for Rupert for quite a number of years, did he not?
Yes, he did.
Yes. Now, why? What did he do that triggered his dismissal?
I would think it's a combination of a lot of things that he said, which you see, these stations, they don't want to educate the public. It's like this very devious BBC. For several generations now, all they've done is dumb people down. They do not tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is to keep the people uninformed and controllable.
Right. I understand that bit, but what I'm really saying is, why did Rupert sit back and let it happen?
That I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Yeah. Get him on the phone.
Well, why not? Come on.
Yeah. Call him.
Don't waste time.
I mean, there are one or two little mysteries about Tucker Carlson and his fall from grace, as it were. But tell me this: has he fallen from grace with his viewership?
No.
No. He's still as popular as ever.
Oh God, more so. I think even more so, because they're champing at the bit to know which way he's going to go.
Right. And is there any evidence
and it cost, well over, it cost Rupert Murdoch well over $1 billion to fire him.
Oh, really?
What he lost so many viewers.
Yes.
And in my book, he was the best journalist in America, Keith. I liked him very much. His presentation had a little humor to it. Highly professional, very attractive human being. I wish him luck. Really do.
Yes, I mean, obviously he's become active on the web. But is there any indication whether he'll go to another established news network?
I don't think so. I haven't got a crystal ball. Of course I haven't. But I don't think so. I think he'll do something by himself.
Right.
I really do.
Because actually, with, say, the advent of GB TV, or GB News TV, is some people who are like Andrew Neil, who some people consider he went over the top. As GB News was only too happy to pick him up very quickly.
Yes.
So I wondered whether there are people circling saying, hey, listen, the sort of ratings that Tucker Carlson can bring to us, we stand a chance of getting if we get hold of him and put him on the air. You're not seeing any of that?
I don't think so, because Tucker Carlson was making $20 million a year with Fox. He's a wealthy man. And I don't think he can be bought.
Yeah.
I don't. Listen, everyone has their price. That's a naive thing for me to say. But I should have said that. But I think he will stand his ground.
Yes.
I mean, if he did go to another station, I think it would be, I have to have my say. You know, I cannot be censored.
Yeah. 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 I'm quite sure that he wouldn't go with the conditions attached.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So that's ladies and gentlemen, is who Tucker Carlson is, and we'll ask you to give us an update each week on the adventures of Tucker Carlson.
Yes, it is a very, very, he's about 50, early 50s, I think, so he's still relatively young and a very attractive man. And so the ladies like him, and if the ladies like you, you know, you're halfway there, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant
So
name.
I don't think he's going to have a lot of trouble.
It's a brilliant name, isn't it? Tucker Carlson.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
good name.
yeah.
Excellent name.
Yeah. I mean, I tried to use my name that way and ended up having to call myself Big Mouth. Yes. Okay. Now, the Tucker Carlson affair, are there other things that are brewing? Let me say this. All I'm saying to you is, are there little hints that something may be coming up? I mean, for instance, I am watching now a local scandal brewing in local politics. We can't say too much because of the election, but
Sure.
once the election is over, then there's no reason why we shouldn't have a go. And I actually have got in my hot little hand some evidence.
Aha.
But are there things which be careful how you express them, but little sniffs of anything that's coming up?
Politically, no, I don't know. I'm not your girl for that. You have to ask somebody else. And there are ladies and gentlemen out there who would give you more information. I'm not into sort of local politics or what.
No,
or even British.
No, I'm not talking about local politics. I'm talking about global
politics.
because really, in many ways,
well, I think
your new world order is world, right?
Yeah,
not
world.
local.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what I'm saying is, are there things
politics,
which
I mean, listen, who are you going to have? Because the Labour and the Conservatives, they're exactly the same. I mean, you get rid of this geezer at the top who's very affiliated with China, and you're going to get Keir Starmer, who's going to take his orders from Tony Blair, who all this lot are affiliated with the WEF and the WHO.
Right, okay.
I mean, so what other party would you have? I mean, I don't know where he stands. I haven't really checked him out. There's this Fox actor, you know, who's trying to do something. Seems like he's genuine, you know, but it all boils down to money, doesn't it?
Did you notice, by the way, because you raised it a couple of weeks or so ago about the Kennedy member
Yes.
who and then didn't look as if he was going to run, but he is going to run again.
Yes, very much so. And they've banned him over in America on the internet. Yeah.
Banned one of the Kennedys.
Kennedy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now
Well, if they ban you, that means they're frightened of you, like they did.
Yes,
they banned him from 28 countries.
But I mean, I'm absolutely amazed. Let's face it. So I'm not sure whether it wasn't Melissa, our correspondent from the States, but also I've heard it elsewhere, is that America is made up of families who are dedicated to politics. They create empires. The Kennedys being one of them. Very, very powerful, operation.
People, yes.
How on earth have they managed to ban a Kennedy?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
I think that is if you're trying to delve into some of the reasons of things happening or look ahead, these are perhaps one or two of the questions that we should ask. Now, I know that you've got a help from a researcher. Can I suggest that these are one or two questions that you ask him to look into?
Yes, but Kennedy did an interview with Piers Morgan, and it was cut, mutilated when it got to America. Yeah, absolutely mutilated,
Right.
and it mutilated here too. I never saw the real, and I thought, oh, this is going to be a very
How do we know it was mutilated? It
well.
wasn't
They
live.
cut a lot out.
It wasn't live.
No, no.
Right. Okay.
No.
Then that is always the danger of it being edited.
Anything to do with Piers Morgan, I really lose my patience with.
Yeah. Right, my darling. Now is how the time flies. I have no idea. It's 10:46, and we have been on the air for 40 minutes.
Well, because we're such nice little people.
Well, we are. Yes.
I mean, that's why.
Gentle.
It?
We only ever say
We're
nice things
gentle,
about
aren't
anybody.
we?
Yeah.
Never say anything nasty
Never say
about
boo.
anyone.
Never say boo to a goose. Right now, what sort of things are you going to be looking at for next week?
I don't know. I don't plan. I just turn on the machine and see what hits me.
What's going on?
I go straight to David Icke's channel, and then I go davidicke.com. Then I will go to David's main channel, which comes out of Derbyshire, that he runs with his two sons, called the Icke Alternative. I think they've changed it from alternative now to something, but I can't remember it. Anyway, I go straight there, those two channels, and from there I will go to the Approach channel, who is like a spider, has a large web,
Yeah.
and I get a hell of a lot of information from both of those people.
Well, that's a good explanation to viewers who wonder where you get some of this information. That's part of your research plan.
Yes.
Yep.
Also, then I will go on to YouTube, because there are a couple of bloggers on there, which always get my attention. They're trying very hard not to get banned, but to get a message out too. So they're well worth watching out.
Right.
But if you get sort of the Approach, or you go to davidicke.com, I mean, there's so many spin-offs from them, where you can pick up your information.
Okay, so next week we can expect a resume and a reaction to the things that you pick up during the week.
Absolutely.
Right.
But I
which makes your program very fresh, because it means that they're only new thoughts that have hit you during the week.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this film, The Dimming, about all this nonsense that is going on, I'm going to try very, very hard as soon as I get home this afternoon to try to find that.
Right.
One can only try.
One can only try.
And then suddenly, bingo, you got it.
All right. Okay, Liza. Well, you'll be back next week.
Oh, I hope
Good.
so.
Good. And
if I don't meet my demise somewhere.
Oh, goodness gracious me! Oh, da 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 da. No! You can't just yet, because I can't afford enough violins.
Tell that to my nephew, would
you? Listen, Liza is. I don't think she mind me telling you, is over 55, and is full of energy. So don't think that you're going to lose her just yet.
You're such a nice man.
Okay, let's.
Are we finishing?
Well, yeah, but don't move. Just what we'll do, I think, is just see whether we can find one of our silly little ones I just accidentally ran the one on heating. I love tweaking the tail of the energy companies. Let's do that. Well done, the energy companies. They're full of bright ideas to help their customers. Now they've made power so expensive that for an average house such as this, you can't afford to heat it. So you don't need appliances such as this. But that means You also don't need a fridge because you can keep your groceries cool and fresh without it. The house is cold enough. Well done, chaps.
I like that. Very good. Very good.
We tweak tails occasionally. So it is now actually I have to look at these things. It is now 10:51. We are just a few minutes short of 11 o'clock, but we do have a very, very busy day tomorrow. So we do have some planning to do this afternoon. We'll crave your indulgence and leave you just a few minutes early. But we had an interesting day today, and for once we didn't have too much of a disaster in technical terms. And I'm happy to say I checked on the picture, which was awful yesterday, on the picture today, and here it is back in full flow and looking good. So I am not the frustrated animal that you saw tear off into the sunset yesterday. So until tomorrow, and it will be quite a different day tomorrow. I shall be here as usual at 8:30 to look through the news headlines. But then, because we are expecting a number of guests to come and see what we do, but also to join us in taking a look at the coronation and kicking off the long weekend. Incidentally, it was pointed out to me last night is before the end of the month, there's another long weekend. We're having 3 long weekends in May.
Oh, how jolly.
Yeah. Yeah. 3 reasons, 3 excuses to drink. Oh, dear.
Like
dear,
you need
dear,
an
dear.
excuse to?
Oh, she's naughty. Right. Okay. So we'll see you tomorrow morning, but we will not have the full length program. But hopefully, you will see what's going on in the background as we greet guests. And can I say that there are once again no isms in our guest list tomorrow. We've invited people from all walks of life, from all political persuasions, from all views of what's going on in our society. So it'll be an interesting mix. And if perchance fisticuffs should occur in the corner, then we'll make sure we get the cameras there and charge you extra. Until tomorrow, toodle pip. Oops.
Oops.
Cut me off in full flow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.